The HP Outdoors Waterfowl podcast is fueled by Eukanuba. If you want to get the most of your dog in your training sessions, you need nutrition that holds nothing back. Eukanuba's new premium performance lineup is built with the nutrients dogs need to help unleash their max potential. That starts with providing energy that matches their efforts, supporting optimal nutrient delivery, and supporting post-exercise recovery. Check out the new Eukanuba premium performance lineup and find your dog's fuel at eukanubasportingdogs.com. You are listening to the HP Outdoors Waterfowl Podcast. CGA is the world's most comprehensive online gun dog training resource. They've got over 160 instructional videos that includes everything you need to take your 7-week-old puppy to a finished gun dog. Visit CornerstoneGunDogAcademy.com to sign up for the free preview module and begin your training journey today. Cornerstone Gun Dog Academy, the most advanced gun dog training resource on the web. Soundgear is offering a 35% discount to the HP Outdoors listeners for their instant fit industrial and shooter products. You can head over to soundgearhearing.com and use the promo code HPOWP35 to claim your discount today. Lifetime Decoy's new Flex Float Mallard decoys set the new standard for quality and durability in waterfowl decoys. An EVA foam, open bottom construction combined with patent-pended dual flow swim keel system allows for more movement and less wind, the ability to sit flat on ice and dirt, and virtually indestructible design which can be shot or otherwise punctured and still float. Each decoy weighs only 11 ounces with the self-righting keel weights removed or 19 ounces with the weights installed. Check them out today at lifetimedecoys.com.
And today we have a man joining us who has been referred to as the Goose Wizard, and also a semi-pro wannabe chef by Matt McCormick, Mr. Cory Loeffler. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing good. So, when I guess probably the listeners will not know, but we are going to be having a giveaway, and this episode is a part of that. And so Matt introduced us on a text, and he said, "Have Cory come and tell the story." And he's a wannabe chef, so man, let's get right into that. What's that about? Because
let's dive into it.
Yeah, I see a lot of Instagram and Facebook posts where you are cooking in the blind, and it looks delicious. I don't think I could say wannabe chef. I think you're getting it done. So
I have zero culinary knowledge whatsoever. Never worked in a kitchen, never worked under a chef. I watched a lot of Food Network back in the day when I used to pay for TV, and that is literally how I gained pretty much all of my knowledge, is just watching the Food Network. So my favorite chefs would be Kat Cora, Bobby Flay, Chef Ann, Emerald, maybe something like that. But probably Bobby Flay of all people, just because he's grilling all the time. So it really hits home with me. I've been running a pellet grill since way back before they were cool. So I dove super hard into the barbecue stuff, and I have always processed my own game from shooting whitetail deer as a young kid, 12, 13, 14, 15. A lot of other people were getting their deer and venison processed at processing plants, and I was taking all of my stuff home. I was trying to do it all myself, and then instead of spending the money at the butcher's shop, I would just go and buy one piece of equipment every year, and I've been doing that pretty much ever since I was probably 15 years old. I got a meat grinder right off the bat, and then a slicer and a stuffer and jerky shooter and dehydrators and stuff, and I would just pick up a piece every year and do all the work myself. So then at the end of it, I got a pretty decent collection, and I've upgraded everything probably 3 different times throughout my hunting career. So that's it. The culinary stuff, it all started super young. My whole family has always been about providing their own meals for themselves. We grow a huge garden, we hunt, we fish, we do all that stuff. So we're always providing our own food to eat. And it just kind of it just felt weird taking all this meat that I had just killed and bringing it to a butcher shop and having them do it. So just thought, I better figure this out. And one thing led to another, and wild game, because it has like almost zero fat content, is probably the hardest stuff to cook and compete with domestic pork, beef, chicken, poultry, whatever, just because that stuff is obese. Humans feed all those animals and they're obese when we go to slaughter them. The ducks and geese and white-tailed deer and elk and moose that we kill, the wild animals, they're wild. They fight for their food just as hard as we go out and fight for them, and they don't have any fat on them at all. So it just makes culinary stuff a lot more difficult, and you really got to up your game, and you kind of have to know what you're doing if you want to eat this stuff every single day and make it turn out good. So I'm sure a lot of listeners out there can relate to being the at-home chef with whatever, ducks and geese.
And I mean, when people take it to a processor and you're just not sure what you're getting back. So, when you hunt as much as we do, then you start getting into that game. So what let me ask, what's your blind setup in the cooking? Because I have seen some in the panel blinds, just getting it done. So
so I don't know how many years ago, 3 years ago, I set out and I made a whole bunch of homemade panel A-frame style blinds, a whole bunch of them, so that we could hunt. Oh man, probably, I think the most we packed in there is maybe like 15 people or something. So I wanted a whole bunch of them, and I exclusively hunted over those all year long. I never used a ground blind, layout blind, anything. And it worked really good. And I was skeptical about it, but we did it every day, and it was awesome. We had a lot of fun shooting geese for, sitting on a 5-gallon bucket, and it's just a lot more comfortable. And so then, and that was kind of a test that year. So then the following year, I went into my uncle's shop, and he's got a huge metal fabrication business. And after hours, I'm midnight manufacturing is what he calls me. So I show up after all the guys leave, and then I burn the midnight oil when I'm over there. So in the summertime, we built trailer blinds, and that's what I've hunted out of, for basically 2 years exclusively, is just those trailer blinds. So it's like an A-frame. It's like a rigid A-frame that's 20 feet long, 16 feet rectangular, and then a 4-foot V on the front. So it's 20 feet long. It fits 10 to 12 guys, really comfortable. And then in that blind, it's just all brushed up along the sides. So it looks like a rolling bale of cattails, basically. And we store all the decoys inside of the blind. So it's just a mobile hunting unit. And I've got my little cook station right up front. I've got a flat top griddle up there, and I usually have coffee going. So that's my spot up there. I get all the food going after we get the decoys out of there. But it's pretty cool because it lowers right to the ground. So you just drive it out in the middle of the field. All the decoys, probably like 20-some dozen full bodies in there, and shells and silhouettes. And we just unload all the decoys, drop the blind down to the ground, and we're hunting. Flip the lid, and we're just sitting there having coffee. And I usually am whipping up something pretty creative: sausage and eggs, hash browns, hot coffee. It's fairly comfortable. So if you go out and the birds don't do it right, and they have different plans, you're still a winner because you got coffee and hot breakfast. So we have a great time doing it.
So is Matt jealous of your skills, or is he just pulling your chain? I'm sure he's appreciative because
yes, super jealous. I mean, you can just see it. He doesn't compliment me on my food. I know it's good, but he doesn't ever say it's good. He doesn't, he's just real bashful. He gets a little bit ornery around supper time. He just eats his food, and so yeah, it's a big jealousy thing.
Matt gets
but
hangry.
Yeah, pretty hangry. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So let's keep on that. 2021 Freelance Honkers just ended. That's not your first year going, is it?
Yeah, that was my first year of the official Freelance Honkers. Yep.
Okay.
I think Matt and I have hunted together 4 times this year on different trips. But freelance honkers, yeah, that was my first one, and oh, the stories will continue for years to come on that one. It was wild. Um, you get that crowd together with some guys that know each other a little bit, some guys that don't, a couple of the Instagram guys that won the contest to go, Taylor and Tanner. You just get that crowd together, and everyone's so fired up to go hunting. It's like the energy doesn't stop, and you don't need any sleep, and you can run 24/7. That's kind of what it felt like. It was wild, though. Gosh, we tore it up good.
No, and I know. I tell you what, we had Matt and Brady on, and just we called it the Freelance Honkers episode, and it's one of the. I don't know if it's one of the highest downloads, but it's definitely one of the most talked about that people have enjoyed, and just seeing how it comes together, and it doesn't matter where these people are from, but just the, Ramsey Russell says the best. Once you're in a duck blind, you're friends, right? It doesn't.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter
or
where you're from,
even.
or yeah. So
yeah, absolutely.
we definitely
No, those guys. I tell you what, if you're hunting with Matt and Brady, and you're not having fun, then that's your own fault.
Yeah.
That's plain and simple. That's your own fault. You just showed up with a horrible attitude. Brady is absolutely a genius storyteller and has a bag full of jokes that goes on and on. I'm no slouch when it comes to the jokes myself. So between Brady and I, we can go toe to toe and keep pretty much anyone entertained for a while. If you like those sorts of jokes, I guess. but
that's all good stuff. And then, so you guys it seemed like it was fairly windy on a few of those hunts.
Oh my gosh. I showed up to the Airbnb I beat those guys there by like an hour or something like that. And I bought a cheese fondue fountain just for the trip. Like, thought of it a few weeks ago, and I'm like, I gotta have it. Like, how freaking cool would that be? Just grilling up honker or duck and meat on the flat top and just dipping it in cheese, and everyone's standing around drinking beer doing that. So yeah, I bought that cheese fountain, and I showed up to the house, and right away I just started whipping up this batch of cheese, right? And I can make this cheese whatever, like a nacho cheese kind of from scratch. So I whipped that up, and I had all of it hot, ready to go. I had tots in the oven. Like, I got to cooking right when I got to the house, and then those guys show up. And I was talking to them like, hey, how long are you going to be here? Whatever. And they're like, we're driving pretty slow because the wind is so bad. Brady's getting thrown all over the road with this 22-foot trailer that they got. So I was like, it's like 4-mile-an-hour wind here at the house. Are you guys kidding? And they're like, it's unreal. And I hung up the phone, and not like 10 minutes later, the tumbleweeds just come racing across the yard like 50 miles an hour.
Oh,
it just hit right then. And I think I don't know what our wind was, but I heard like Williston, North Dakota hit 120 miles an hour or something like that at the airport there. So yeah, it was absolutely treacherous. So when we tried hunting in that, it's stayed windy like that for a day and a half or something, and so we had to hunt in that wind the next day, and it was just
did those guys I'm not familiar with where those other guys are from. Did they have to fly in? Did they have any trouble, or was it
yeah, no trouble at all. Flights were all on time. Tanner came out of Michigan, the UP, and then Taylor came out of Ohio, and they met up in Minneapolis, took the same flight over to Montana, and then, no problem. Those guys picked them up as they were coming through with the trucks, and I came over from Minnesota, and we all met up over there, and the Freelance Honkers 21 ensued.
So I'll keep on food for one more second, and I wanted to ask you, I saw it on, I think it might be an Instagram story, like the highlight reels that you can keep up there. So, dry aging geese.
Yep.
I've tried it a couple times, and I don't think it was cold enough outside. and it
that
turned
could-
it,
yeah.
it turned into a mess. So
Mess. Okay. Right.
what are some rules of thumb that you go by for that?
So I would say it doesn't really matter. Ducks, geese, whitetail, moose, elk, red meat. When it comes to aging, red meat's pretty much red meat, and pheasants and rough grouse and chicken all benefits equally from the aging process as well. But that red meat, definitely, there's a lot of stuff that goes on in that animal and inside the meat fibers after you shoot the bird until you run your knife through it. What I do is I just remove the guts. So you're going to get a lot of bacterial migration from the GI tract or from the guts into the meat, especially if you've ran any BBs through that tract at all. If there's a straight BB hole going from the breast through the breastplate into the guts, and you don't hang them by the head, you're going to get bacterial migration through there. And then whatever those guts smell like we're all familiar with that. That's what your meat's going to taste like, and that none of that's good. You don't want any of that stuff. So, if you do plan to age your ducks or geese or anything, I would strongly suggest removing the guts from them, and that's what I did out at Freelance Honkers. Everyone was cleaning their geese, and I was planning to hit the road within an hour after that. Of course, I abided by federal regulations for transportation, so I left the birds all feathered, and I just plucked a little bit of on the honker, like those white feathers on the belly, are right just in front of the butthole. Basically, I plucked those off, and then I sliced that, and then I just reached my hand in there and just pulled out all the guts, and all the way up into I left the hearts in there because I eat those, but I pulled out the lungs and then everything below that, so the bird had no guts in it. Threw those away, and then I just had a full feathered bird. I got all the fat intact, and I use the heck out of the fat because this time of year they have so much fat on them. Rendering that stuff down and cooking with it later, it'll keep for a long time, a year or more in the fridge, and that stuff is just amazing. So I have all the fat to work with, and I've got all the meat and legs and thighs and breasts, so I can hang them here at my house. I usually hang them from the head. You always want to do that just because gravity is going to take any of the nasty juices towards the bottom and not fill the breast cavity with all that stuff that you don't want to eat and don't want to smell. So probably 36 to 38 degrees, somewhere right in there is your optimal temperature for dry aging red meat. So if you're up in the 50, 60, you're just not going to get as many days out of it. But hang them, if you can try and shoot between 30 and 40 degrees, hang them for 7 days, and you will see so much difference in table fare. Just an improvement in flavor and tenderization.
Nice. Very nice. Yeah, I think I think my degrees were a little high.
That could be. Those September
and,
honkers are pretty tough to hang.
Yeah, and even the cooler nights and stuff, and I was like, I'm gonna try it. I was just excited to try it, and I thought I could get away with it. And I removed the guts and everything, and it just, I went out and I could smell it from really far away, and I said that I did it wrong. So that was that. So I do want to talk about your call company and kind of how you got into all that, but listeners can't see it, but we're on a FaceTime call, and I see a ton of ribbons behind you, right? So it looks kind of like you're a tuning table and your shop there. So you're a trainer too. Do you have a lot of dogs? Do you have one dog?
Yeah, I have one stud dog, Boone, and he's the oldest. And then I have quite a few females that I own as well. And we have a pretty cool setup with the females, I guess you'd say, in that I own the females on paper and I'll help train them and I'll own the litters of them, but I don't have them all the time because I can only hunt a couple dogs at once. And I just don't want to have that many. I just don't want to have that many really awesome hunting dogs at my house because there'd be a whole bunch of talent just riding the pine and not being able to hunt. So, so I have a couple young puppies. I have a puppy, Tiny, down with Brett Amundsen. I've got Ruby. She's with Max Barda. And we've got Tilly. She's with Tony Crotty. And then we've got Red, and she is with Ian Lund. Um, those are 4 girls that are not here at the house. And then at the house, we've got Bonnie and Rue as well. So pile of dogs, and we do a lot of dog training in the summertime. I'm just an amateur trainer. I train my own dogs. I don't take anyone else's on, and run a lot of hunt tests. So Rue just got her master title this last summer. She's 3 years old, a little rocket of a red lab. Brady Davis calls her his favorite little corn sniffing hussy that's what he refers to her as. So how's that little corn sniffing hussy doing? Get him over here, Rube.
And I've seen a lot of Ruby through Max and his photos. So
Max and Ruby, how about that? Just like the cartoon.
That's all good stuff. So, man, you sound like you're kind of living an outdoorsman's dream, right? Like you own a call company, you're running dogs, you've got a lot of dogs, you're going hunting, your wife has to pick up some slack for you, right?
Oh man, she is an absolute angel. Absolutely. It's a team effort through and through. It's not, I'm more the face of it, I guess. She doesn't really like the spotlight too much, but she's packing the truck right now so I can head out and and leave on yet another trip. But no, she's absolutely awesome with everything's a team effort around here, like she works part-time and she'll come back here and she's helping me get orders out the door, printing, shipping labels, and picking call parts, helping out with the dogs all the time. And it's a team effort raising a couple of wild girls. We've got 3 daughters and they're crazier than heck. So all of it, we print our own shirts here and she takes care of all that stuff. So I design the shirts and the logos. She prints them. I do all the photography and Photoshop work and a bunch of video stuff, and tuning the calls, more the training the dogs, and she's helping train the dogs as well. So we got all that, and then we've got a garden in our backyard that's it's drip tape irrigated, if anyone knows what that is, and there's over 1,500 feet of drip tape out there. So that would feed 2 rows of plants. So we have like over 3,000 feet of vegetables out in the garden. Jeez. With pretty much everything under the sun. So yeah, I mean, we get after it. We're living the hunting and gathering life every single day. Jeez, to the max.
You got over a half mile of vegetables.
yeah, it's I don't know what we put in the ground last year, like 130 tomato plants or something. It's just unreal, but we eat the heck out of that stuff. So tomatoes, stewed tomatoes, tomato juice. So, I don't even know how many gallons of salsa. We make the salsa by the 5-gallon batch. So salsa and V8 stuff. It's yeah, you want to cure a hangover real quick. You down a glass of that V8, you'll be good to go. That's guaranteed.
Good to go. All right, man. So let's talk about your call company, DRC Call Company. You're saying the short drop is just on fire lately, and
I can't keep that little thing in stock.
And the nickname Goose bet. Wizard. I assume it comes from the calls. So give us a rundown. How long you been in business? How'd you start? How'd you know you wanted to do it?
From an early age, I just felt so connected to calling and communicating with Canada geese. I thought it was just magical that you could pick up a call and not even like learn another language, a human spoke language, but like learn a whole nother species language and communicate with that bird and fool them into thinking that you are one of them. And I've just thought that's pure magic from day one. So that was kind of where my passion or addiction got started from when my uncles started taking me hunting when I was 12, 13, 14 years old, and then bumming rides from friends wherever it was that I could get a ride to. And then, into my 20s, in my later teens and my 20s, I started really competing hard in goose calling contests, and pretty much just goose calling contests, not so much duck calling, because I just thought that practicing for a duck calling contest was incredibly annoying, and I just couldn't do it. So goose calling, there's so much more variety, and it's more pleasurable for me to listen to. And I was more intrigued by the goose language, that the duck stuff did not do it for me. And Minnesota is not really a duck state. We're definitely a honker state. I think we shoot just about right about twice as many geese as any other state out there. So, you can't swing a dead cat and not hit a goose hunter in Minnesota. I mean, they're pretty much everywhere. So, that was the calling contest background, I guess, in my early 20s. And I won a contest in Moline, Illinois, and the North American Masters. And then one of the local papers wrote an article about me came over, and it's a guy that I know I've hunted with a couple times that wrote the article, and right on the top of this like half or whole page spread said "Goose Call Wizard" on the top of the article. So it's been the Goose Wizard since about 2010 when that happened. So love it or hate it, whatever. It's the Goose Wizard.
So there's the Goose Wizard.
Yeah, and but no, I kind of have gotten so busy with the call company that I kind of have retired from the calling contest scene, and it's just way too much work to keep up with the tuning calls and shipping orders and running a business. And I just don't have enough time, or I don't have the time to dedicate to it like I did when I was in my early 20s. And my wife, Kelsey, and I would jump in the car and go drive 18 hours to a contest, or 14 hours down to I don't even know, Moline or Burlington or something like that. We boogied across the country numerous times in the dead of winter on treacherous roads, and all to stand up there for 90 seconds and blow a goose call. And
well, I'm sure 18 hours with 3 kids multiple times a year would be with 3 daughters on top of it.
That's not going to happen.
No.
I'll stick around home and do a little dog training now. That's kind of my deal.
So how old are your daughters?
Oh gosh, we got a birthday coming up here real soon. So we got a soon to be 6-year-old in the mix. And then we've got one that just turned 3. And then my oldest daughter, she'll be 16 here coming up soon. And so she's got her permit. She's driving me around all over the place right now.
Man.
We'll go out coyote hunting in the middle of the night. I'll keep her up half the night, and she'll just drop me off, and I'll go calling with my thermal, and she'll just go drive down the road and whatever, jump on Instagram or something like that. And then I'll call her and she'll come pick me up. It's freaking awesome, man.
I still got a few years for that. So I have twin girls, and they just turned 7 in November, and then my son's 5.5. So
all right.
Yeah, we got it done quick there. Three kids under 2 years old for 6 months. I don't remember that year of my life at all, like or 2 years or 3, whatever. I don't remember any of it, but it was your life definitely changes when those little ones come around. So I feel that.
Understand that. Oh, that's awesome.
So go ahead and hit on your call line a little bit if you want, and the short drop. We were talking little geese down Oklahoma, Kansas, and those guys are eating it up.
Yeah, that thing has just been on fire these last a long time. I came out with it in 2007, so it's been on the market for a long time, and I've sold a good number of them. But this year and last year, it's just been absolutely on fire. It's going over really well. The guides love them down there, and it's just a super tiny, extremely efficient call that you can get so many notes out of with one breath. And that's really what those guys want down there, is they just want to make as much noise on a goose call as they possibly can. So a little goose call is going to be, or a lesser call, cackler call, whatever you guys want to call it, is going to be a lot different than a honker call, or say like a contest style call, because those big Canada geese, we've got a pile of them right in my backyard up here, but they have so much of a more complex vocal language than the little geese do. The little geese pretty much make just a couple few notes, but they just call a lot, and the flock sizes are huge, so you need to match that with an absolute wall of sound. So it's not finesse calling, it's not real particular notes, it's just a ton of them, and as loud and as fast and obnoxious on a goose call as you can be. And that short drop absolutely does it. I mean, the thing just, you get the thing tuned up and you can make a little cluck or a little bark with it, like with just a whisper and whisper of air, versus, honker call. You just have so much more vocabulary that honkers do, and their language is just equally as cool, if not cooler, but just kind of on another level, because there's so many different notes in that big 2-note honk that they have and they produce. So yeah, that's kind of the short drop. And then we offer a whole bunch of other honker calls as well. The Psycho and the Life Sentence and the Core are our number one, or our main sellers, I guess. So we've got a duck call that won't stick up, the Rev, and that pretty much rounds it out. And then we got a Sandhill crane call as well that has an adjustable end piece, and that thing's been super popular down south as well, especially those guys down kind of in that panhandle of Texas and Oklahoma right now running that thing. They love that, and it's just a ton of fun to blow and communicate. That market is not very saturated at all, and it's a fairly new tool, that the Sandhill crane call. And I've got a bunch of videos of myself out there blowing it, and I love it. I mean, I love trying to communicate with those things, and they're a crazy freaking bird, especially the graders that we get up here in Minnesota that we can shoot. Their eyesight is like unbelievable. I mean, you got to be hid so well to try and hunt those things. And I just blow the call to get them to kind of come my way, and then hopefully get them in range. And but yeah, as far as getting them feet down in the decoys, I don't know. That's pretty difficult up here with these big ones.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot more here in PA, but we're still not able to shoot them, and that's one thing that I've wanted to do. And it seems like, and it might just be, social media and people showing it, but it seems like hunting them is really picked up in the last 3 to 4 years, maybe. Like you just see it a ton more. So, kudos for you for, jumping on and getting that call out there. And it does, going back to the short drop, I'm just thinking the first time I hunted Kansas and those big spins, the little geese, and I'm sitting there and just blowing my lungs out, just and one group's going left to right, and then there's a group above them going right to left, and before you know it, like I was dizzy, and I felt like I was looking through like a kaleidoscope, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like how am I gonna shoot at these? And I had to like stop calling. I like looked down at my feet, and I'm like, all right, just get some oxygen back in your body. I was like dizzy, so you need something like that, and I'm sure that the guides that are busting their butts out there would appreciate that. But yeah, it's pretty crazy, and definitely I can see how just a little whisper of air could would benefit them.
Yeah, that's a fun bird to hunt, man. They can be very frustrating and very rewarding, all in the same time, in the same hunt.
Yeah,
but they're a cool little bird.
And the cranes, like people have said that too, like their eyesight's awesome, and you see all the Instagram stories or whatever, like they're just floating in. They look like a big dumb bird, and people just smoke them. But they're like, if you don't hide well, like you don't have a chance. And I was like, are you serious? And then sending your dog out with rec specs on to make sure their eyes stay intact and all that fun stuff.
I will tell you one thing. The graders that we have up in the northwest corner of Minnesota, the big birds, they act and decoy way different than the birds in the panhandle, the western subspecies down there. The big birds are nearly impossible to hide from compared to the little birds down in the panhandle. You put 4 dozen decoys out in front of a big old trailer blind and stuff it full of tumbleweed down there in the panhandle, and they're feet down in that thing at 10-15 yards, and it's like shooting at a big huge floating pumpkin right out there, because they once you get a crane committed into the decoys, they're not getting out. It's not gonna happen. So you got all day to pick them things off. It's no big deal. But those big birds up here that we have, man, a lot of frustrating days hunting those things. And probably the thing that's most frustrating to me, it's not about going out and getting skunked, it's going out and just not coming home with crane meat. That's really what pisses me off about it. They're so good to eat. Oh, I just love them.
So real quick before we get into Sitka gear, go ahead and hit your website, anywhere that people can get a hold of you at your call company.
Yeah, you could come jump on my Instagram, and that's just Cory Loeffler. Or the DRC Call Co. on Instagram or Facebook. And then the website is drccalls.com.
There you go. Go and get yourself some. All right, man. So the original message from Matt McCormick saying, get a hold of Cory, get him on the show. Let's talk about this Nodak series. You're the story behind it, so I'll just let you run with it. Tell us about, say goodbye to disposable whites.
Yeah,
the
you
new
bet.
Story.
So as myself and my family, we don't view any game animal, especially snow geese, we don't view snow geese as being disposable. And I would say of all the game animals out there, probably snow geese get picked on the most and maybe disrespected the most, like sky carp and different kind of derogatory nicknames in that sense. And I really think a lot of that just stems originally from their abundance, or their almost overpopulation, and the problematic population that they have. And it's just because they're so good at surviving. I mean, they are absolute survivalists, and they're almost too good. It can cause some troubles. So, the conservation seasons and the no limits and the unplugged shotguns and all that stuff. So people just want to go out and shoot 100 of them all the time. And I think that's kind of those numbers. If you were to compare the snow goose to the white front or speckle belly goose, that speckle belly is kind of, highly revered or sought after, and the snow goose is kind of looked down upon. In my opinion, as far as table fare, those two are the exact same bird on the plate. I cannot tell the difference between a snow and a speck whatsoever, and that's how I view them. With respect to the bird and culinary respect. So myself and my family, we don't view any of these game animals as disposable, much as Sitka doesn't want to view their whites as disposable. So this is their answer to a disposable white product. A lot of people are wearing painter suits and stuff and wearing them once, ripping holes in them, and then throwing them away after the hunt. And Sitka, got sick of seeing that, and they wanted to provide an answer for it. So this is it. So we've got a 2-piece system. We have some whites on the market right now.
I have the gradient hoodie I wore today.
Yeah, gradient hoodie and the hat.
And I love it.
Yep. And then so we've got the Nodak system. We've got the whites, the white jacket and the bibs, and now they aren't modeled after another garment that Sitka has. So it's not like, hey, we just they took the Jetstream jacket and made it white or something. It's not that at all. So they're full 3-layer Gore-Tex, and then they've got a 75D polyester face. And what that face is going to do is it's UV matched to match snow goose decoys and snow geese themselves. So you're essentially, if you're hiding in the whites in snow goose decoys, you're going to disappear into the decoys. And then there's every detail was looked at the whites to try and minimize any zipper fatigue and failure and material fatigue and failure. So that's where the 3-layer Gore-Tex laminate comes into play. Super rugged, all waterproof and as mud-proof as they could possibly make it. So the zipper, let's see, on the side of the bibs, the zippers kind of run more up your leg a little bit, not right out on the side of your leg, but up another few inches just to get those zippers to ride out of the mud. And then all the zippers have a big storm flap over the top of them that is also secured with Velcro. And then the zippers run down to your knee or just past your knee on your legs. And then it's all buttons from there down to reduce bulk and to just keep the zippers out of the mud, because hunting snow geese in the spring and possibly in the fall is just messy, dirty. Like every day you're covered in mud. So they designed them with extreme mud hunts in mind, and trying to keep those zippers out of the mud and trying to keep them as protected as possible. The bibs don't have any pockets in them. They zip down really cool. They zip all the way from your knee right up basically to the top. And so if you need to take a leak out in the field, you can drop both of those zippers and you got access right there. Or if you need to warm up your hands, you can drop those zippers down a good 12 inches or so, and then you can fit your hands inside your whatever coat that you're wearing to layer it with. So I'm about 6 feet tall, 185 pounds, something like that. I suppose 185 now after Christmas season, whatever. We won't talk about it, but and I grabbed a large jacket and medium bibs. And on those medium bibs, I tried it today. I put the gradient pants on, and then I put the Hudson bibs on, and then I put the Nodak white bibs over the top of that. It wasn't super comfortable, but I was sweating instantly because I did it inside my house just to try to see if I could get all 3 of those layers on there. But if you guys are familiar with those layers, I mean, that is absolutely extremely warm, all 3 of those on there. And then on the jacket side of things, I was able to put, I had a heavyweight core on, and then I ended up putting the duck oven underneath it, and that fit perfect under there. That duck oven was awesome insulation under that white jacket. I also ran the gradient that fits great under there, and then I think it was the Kelvin light down hoodie fit great under that jacket. So everything that I tried to play a few different scenarios, some real cold weather stuff and some warmer weather stuff, and it all layered underneath there very well. It's got really articulated fit, so no issues there. The hood on the jacket is cut back a little bit, so you have really good vision out to the right and to the left. When you're laying in the spread, you can see anything incoming right and left, and then it's got kind of a rigid visor on it as well that you can pull down over your eyes if sun's getting in your eyes. So
yeah, so let's short recap here. No zippers below the knees. That's genius.
Correct. Yep.
Everyone's
snaps.
wearing, so snaps.
Yep.
Everyone's wearing knee-high boots and all that mud and muck. So, and that's like one of the biggest problems is you get that mud in there, it dries, and especially, you get some of that Oklahoma red dirt and all that stuff down in there. Like, it doesn't come out very easy at all. It's not like the dirt we have.
Yep.
So to avoid that issue, and you got some there. Very nice. And so I know you said that it didn't really follow another line, but it almost sounds like it's kind of along the Delta wading jacket type. Is it more of just the Gore-Tex, and there's no liner in it? There's no vest like a Hudson would have any kind of insulation in it, right?
Exactly. Yep. That 100% right. It's just the Gore-Tex shell, and there's no insulation. There's no layer inside of there. It's just that 3-layer laminate Gore-Tex, and that's it. So yeah, I guess you'd be right. It would be similar to the Delta wading jacket in the construction, I guess.
So, and I tell you what, the Delta has a very special place in my heart. It's just you put on what you want underneath it to keep you
Mm-hmm.
warm, and you know
Yep.
you're not going to get wet. Like it's perfect. So next question, how high do those bibs come up?
I mean, they're full length, so they'll come right up to your chest.
Okay.
They'll come right up to your chest, and then they don't have any buckles on top, so they have a buckleless closure system that you can adjust, so your gun won't get caught, or you won't shoulder your gun on any buckles or anything. And then, like I said, those zippers that start at your knee or just below your knee, those run all the way up to basically the inside of your chest, and like kind of right in line with your armpits, basically. And then they also have a secondary snap closure at the top. So at the top, on that zipper that runs from your knee up to close to your armpit, that one has the storm flap on the outside. It's got the Velcro closures to keep the storm flap protecting the zipper, and then it's got a snap on the top to keep that shut. So if there was any zipper failure in the unfortunate event, you've got Velcro and you got snaps to back you up two ways on that one. So
That's awesome. I know they pull info from a ton of guys out in the field that hunt day in and day out, and it really shows. And every year they just upgrade and come out with great ideas. Even, just taking the zippers off the bottom of the the bottom of the bibs that's huge for a lot of people. They get so mad trying to get their stuff off, and I find it interesting too that they are looking into UV. And one of the biggest problems when people hunt in the snow is you have something that has a blue tint to it, or it's just not white. It's not white like the snow. And like, I had that gradient hoodie on today, and we had, I think, 4 inches of snow last night. So I walked out, and I hunted whitetail on the ground in that hoodie, but I never compared it. And I knew I was talking to you tonight, so I was like, I just want to see like how close it is. And I was like, man, this blends perfect. Like it's just beautiful. And I assume that this system is the same exact way. So you're not buying any kind of disposable suit that you're going to be shining. And I know if you're laying in decoys, and even in the timber or the other pattern, like you stick out a little bit if it's it just doesn't go that well all the time, depending on the ground. But if you're in snow decoys and this blends right in, that's gonna I think this way with a lot of their solids, and hopefully they come out with a lot more, but it's gonna be hard to keep them in stock. Like, we've been saying that for a long time, like more solids, and everyone says that. So I'm interested to see social media and people getting these. And I guess one last question I have, how much have you hunted in the system, and how clean are you able to keep it?
We were able to keep them really clean. We shot the film in North Dakota and hunted for a few days there. And then I've had a set for, the prototype set that I had was really nothing like the finished set. It was just a test for the UV fabric, and basically it's a white cloudburst jacket in that new material, or with testing that UV. So I've had that for probably a good 2 years now, or a year and a half or something, and I've hunted in that a lot. And every time my wife washes it, it comes out like almost perfect. So no problems there. And I've got that thing completely filled with mud. And but in North Dakota, when we were filming, no one ran whites. I didn't run whites through the washing machine. Matt took them all back with him, and he washed them. So I'm not sure. That would be probably a question for Matt on how those ones fared there. And I'll know in a week. I'll post it on Facebook group. How's that?
Yeah, and that's it is. I would say the biggest hurdle that people are talking about online is just, man, you get blood on that. How's it gonna handle? And
Hmm.
and that being said, dried blood is gonna look like mud anyway. So
Hmm.
I don't think it's a big deal, but I'm sure people want to look pretty and shiny out there when they spend that much money. So um, yeah. So talk about you kind of mentioned the trip coming up. Go ahead and go ahead and talk about where you're heading.
Well, we don't really know where we're heading yet. It's going to be a pretty fun road trip. I'm picking up a buddy of mine, Brett Amundsen, and Tiny. So Rue and myself and Brett and Tiny, we're going to hit the road. We've got a bunch of sets of whites in the truck, loaded up right now, and we're just going to hit the road. We're going to take some requests from social media, ask guys where we should go, whose place we should stop at, call ahead, see if they've got some room, and we're just going to make our way from Minnesota, probably just run on down all the way to Texas somewhere. I've got a good buddy of mine down there that has a bunch of pigs coming into his place, and I want to go shoot the pigs, but that might be in a week and a half or two. So we're just going to hit the road, go on a meat run, and see what happens,
Nice.
and document it along the way. So it'd be something pretty fun to follow along with.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And are you going to be taking over like Sitka's Instagram with that, or
Nope,
it'll be on yours?
Yep, we're just
Oh.
doing it all on mine, and yeah, and those guys, wherever we stop, I'm sure those guys will we'll have some fun with it. That's for sure.
All right, so so as far as the Snowdack series, gradient hoodie, if that's in it, we'll say it's in it. You got the gradient hoodie, you got the bibs, you got the jacket, you got the warm hat that you got.
Yep.
I've seen Brady wearing the ball cap.
Yep, kind of a flat brim ball cap.
Yep, and then
this is the white beanie is a Dakota beanie. So if you guys are familiar with the regular Optifade Dakota beanie, same one, just in white textile.
In the teaser video that came out, I saw you were wearing gunner gloves. So there's no white gloves?
None that I know of. Nope.
Okay. And that's one thing that I love too. You said you had the prototype a year and a half, maybe 2 years, and dealing with Sabir and Matt and everyone else involved in everything, and just kind of I did some film for the whitetail side and before these bags came out this year. And just knowing that how long they've been in production, and there's no rush to get these products out. They want it perfect. They're not putting it out to put it out. And that's, I'm sure that there's pressure on them to get it out, but they want to make sure it's right before they do it. And I think it's so cool. And I just love, being a part of that and seeing it come to fruition. So, super exciting. And then, so what kind of film, when people hear this, the film's going to be out, but how long's the video for the Snowdack?
The film that I've seen is 60 seconds, and just kind of gives a pretty brief rundown of me and my family and kind of what we're doing here around the house and around the call shop, with the garden and with making a supper. And I make, my wife and I make a real kick-ass snow goose pot pie in the film. It doesn't show a recipe on how to make it, but we can send it to you if you want to know how to make snow goose pot pie. We'll send it over. It turned out awesome. So yeah.
Man, Matt, I think Matt is just jealous. You're making snow goose pot pie. He's
absolutely.
He's definitely just jealous. That's all it comes down to.
Well, he just, he really needs to expand, his culinary side a little bit. He still drinks Coors Light. So anyone that drinks Coors Light, it just, they've got a long ways to go.
Some of the younger crowd, just the palate has not been explored, and it's not developed yet. Like, it's not his fault. You can't blame him.
Needs some time.
Anyway, so listeners, we are Cory and Matt and Sitka Gear. They are graciously giving away a Nodak series bib and jacket to listener or follower of the show. That will probably start, I think this is coming out Wednesday, which will be the 20th. We'll start that, I think, tomorrow, which will be the 19th. And we'll pick one. I think Matt wanted it by the 21st, so maybe we'll do it the morning of the 21st. And
All right. How are we giving these things away? What do we got to do?
I'm not sure yet. I think we'll do just one winner, and I think maybe we'll chat after the show. Any ideas you have, and definitely give some likes to your company and everything to go along with it. So
yeah, heck yeah, you bet.
Man, so I appreciate the time. We are closing in on an hour. That was a quick chat. So
all right.
I appreciate your time. I know you got some. I see your wife running around in the background. She's probably tired of packing all your stuff for another hunting trip. So
she's sitting in a chair staring at me right now, waiting for me. She probably needs help lifting the gunner kennel into the back of the truck, I think is what it is. So,
well, that's awesome. No, hey, I appreciate it. One more time, your website,
drccalls
and Instagram.
Instagram, Cory Loeffler, DRC Call Company. You bet.
There you go, man. Hey, I appreciate the time.
Thank you much. It was fun.
Good luck on your trip.
Thanks.
All right. Stay safe.
That's going to do it for this episode of the HP Outdoors Waterfowl Podcast. If you're new to the show, head over to iTunes, check out some of our past episodes, and while you're there, leave us a 5-star rating and review. It's the best way for like-minded hunters just like you to find our show. Check us out on social media. Check us out over at hpoutdoors.com and anywhere you can find quality podcast content. That's going to do it for this week. Till next time, for Dan, I'm Josh. Take care.